My name is David, and I've lived on this 40-acre farm in rural Tennessee for nearly 15 years. At 42, I thought I'd seen everything these woods could throw at me. Wild turkeys, deer, the occasional coyote. Nothing that would normally bother my German shepherd Max. He's been my constant companion for 7 years, ever since I found him as a stray puppy wandering near the old Miller place down the road. That Tuesday evening started like any other. I was finishing up the evening chores, checking on the chickens, and making sure the barn was secure for the night. The autumn air carried that crisp bite that promised winter wasn't far behind. Max usually stayed close during these routines, but tonight he was different. He stood rigid at the edge of our property, staring into the dense tree line that marked the beginning of the state forest. His ears were pinned forward, every muscle in his body tense with alertness. Then came the barking, not his usual warning bark for strangers or his playful bark when he wanted attention. This was something else entirely, deep, urgent, almost desperate. "What is it, boy?" I called out, but he didn't even turn his head. His focus remained locked on something I couldn't see, something hidden in the shadows between the oak and pine trees. The barking continued for nearly an hour. I tried calling him inside, even offered his favorite treats, but Max wouldn't budge. He just kept barking toward those woods, as if his life depended on it. Something was out there, and Max knew it. I'd never seen Max behave this way before. Sure, he'd bark at the occasional raccoon or possum, but this was different. There was an urgency in his voice that made the hair on my arms stand up. I grabbed my flashlight and walked over to where he stood, hoping to spot whatever had captured his attention. The beam of light penetrated maybe 30 feet into the woods before the thick canopy swallowed it whole. I listened carefully, straining to hear anything unusual over Max's persistent barking. The normal sounds of evening were there, crickets chirping, leaves rustling in the gentle breeze, the distant hoot of an owl. Nothing seemed out of place. "Come on, Max, let's go inside." I tugged gently on his collar, but he planted his feet and continued his vigil. His brown eyes never left the woods, and when I tried to pull him away, he actually resisted, something he'd never done before. I decided to trust his instincts. Max had always been incredibly intelligent, with senses far superior to mine. If he believed something important was happening in those woods, maybe I should pay attention. I settled onto the porch steps, keeping him company while he maintained his watch. The temperature was dropping, and I could see my breath forming small clouds in the air. I pulled my jacket tighter and wondered what could possibly be keeping my dog so focused. Wild animals usually moved on after a few minutes, but whatever was out there seemed to be staying put. As the night grew darker, Max's barking became even more insistent, almost pleading. By 10 o'clock, dark clouds had begun gathering overhead, blocking out the stars I'd been watching. The weather forecast had mentioned possible rain, but the approaching storm looked more serious than expected. Lightning flickered in the distance, followed by the low rumble of thunder. Max's barking intensified with each flash of light. I tried one more time to coax him inside. "Max, come on, it's going to pour out here." But he wouldn't budge. If anything, he seemed more agitated as the storm approached. He began pacing back and forth along the fence line, never taking his eyes off the woods, his barking becoming almost frantic. The first drops of rain began to fall, heavy and cold. Within minutes, it had escalated to a steady downpour. I ran to the house to grab my rain jacket and a larger flashlight, thinking I might need to physically carry Max inside. But when I returned, he was still there, now soaked but undeterred. "What's got into you, boy?" I asked, crouching down beside him. His fur was plastered to his body, but he didn't seem to notice the discomfort. He looked up at me briefly, his eyes reflecting an emotion I'd never seen before. Not fear, but something like desperation. Then he turned back to the woods and let out a long, mournful howl that sent chills down my spine. That's when I heard it, barely audible over the rain and thunder, but definitely there. A sound that made my heart skip a beat. It was faint, almost lost in the storm, but unmistakable. Someone was crying. The crying was coming from deep within the forest, carried on the wind between gusts of rain. It sounded young, vulnerable, and absolutely terrified. Max heard it too. His barking changed to urgent whimpering as he looked back at me, then toward the woods, as if saying, "Do you hear it now? Do you understand?" I grabbed the heavy-duty flashlight and my cell phone, though I knew there was no signal this far out. "Okay, Max, show me what you've been trying to tell me." The moment I said those words, he bolted toward the tree line, looking back to make sure I was following. The woods were treacherous in the storm. Rain had made the fallen leaves slippery, and low-hanging branches seemed to grab at my jacket with every step. Max moved with purpose, following what appeared to be an old deer trail that wound deeper into the forest. His white patches made him easier to follow in the darkness, and he stopped frequently to make sure I was keeping up. The crying grew louder as we progressed, more distinct. It was definitely a child, young, maybe 6 or 7 years old. My mind raced with questions. What was a child doing out here in the middle of a storm? Where were the parents? How long had they been lost? We'd been walking for about 15 minutes when Max suddenly stopped and began barking again. But this time, it was different, gentler, almost reassuring. I caught up to him and pointed my flashlight in the direction he was facing. There, huddled against the base of a massive oak tree, was a small figure. The beam of my flashlight revealed a little boy, maybe 7 years old, curled up in a ball against the tree trunk. He was soaking wet, shivering violently, and crying so hard his whole body shook. His clothes were muddy and torn, suggesting he'd been wandering through the woods for some time. "Hey there, buddy," I called out softly, not wanting to startle him. "It's okay. I'm here to help." The boy looked up at me with wide, terrified eyes. His face was streaked with mud and tears, and his lips had taken on a bluish tint from the cold. He couldn't have been out here long in this weather, or hypothermia would have already set in. Max approached slowly, his tail wagging low and gentle. The boy's expression changed slightly when he saw the dog, fear mixing with a glimmer of hope. "Doggy," he whispered through chattering teeth. "That's right. This is Max. He's the one who found you. He's been barking for hours, trying to tell me you were out here." I knelt down a few feet away, not wanting to overwhelm the child. "What's your name, son?" "Tommy," he managed between sobs. "I can't find my mom." My heart broke hearing those words. This little boy was lost, scared, and had been alone in these woods during one of the worst storms we'd had all month. I needed to get him warm and dry immediately, then figure out how to reunite him with his family. "Well, Tommy, my name is David, and we're going to get you home safe. Can you walk, or do you need me to carry you?" Tommy tried to stand, but his legs were too weak from cold and exhaustion. Without hesitation, I scooped him up in my arms. He was lighter than I expected, and I could feel him shivering against my chest. His small hands gripped my jacket desperately, as if afraid I might disappear. "It's okay, buddy. You're safe now," I whispered, pulling off my rain jacket and wrapping it around him as best I could while carrying him. Max led the way back through the woods, somehow finding the path even in the darkness and rain. The walk back to the house felt like it took forever. Tommy had stopped crying but was still shivering uncontrollably. I talked to him continuously, trying to keep him conscious and alert. "Tommy, can you tell me how old you are? Do you remember your mom's name?" "I'm 6, he whispered. "My mom is Sarah. We were camping, but I got lost when I went to find the bathroom." Camping. That explained a lot. There were several campgrounds within a few miles of my property, and it would be easy for a small child to get turned around in these woods, especially in the dark. The storm had probably made everything look different and more frightening. "How long have you been lost, Tommy?" I don't know. It got dark and then it started raining. I was so scared. His voice was barely audible, muffled against my shoulder. When we finally emerged from the woods, the lights of my farmhouse looked like a beacon of hope. Max ran ahead to the porch, shaking the rain from his coat and looking back at us with what I swear was pride in his eyes. Once inside, I carried Tommy directly to the bathroom and started running a warm bath. He was still shivering, and I knew getting his core temperature back to normal was the priority. "Tommy, I need to get you out of these wet clothes and into some warm water. Is that okay?" He nodded weakly. His clothes were not only soaking wet, but also torn from branches and brambles. I helped him undress, shocked to see several small cuts and scrapes on his arms and legs. Nothing serious, but evidence of his frightening journey through the woods. While the tub filled, I grabbed clean towels and went to find something for him to wear. The smallest clothes I had were still far too big, but a clean t-shirt would work as a nightgown for now. I also started a pot of hot chocolate on the stove. Something told me this little boy could use some comfort food. "The water's ready, buddy. Take your time and get warmed up. I'll be right outside the door if you need anything." I left the bathroom door slightly ajar and could hear him slowly settling into the warm water. Max had positioned himself right outside the bathroom as if standing guard. He looked up at me with those intelligent brown eyes, and I swear I could see satisfaction there. He'd done his job. He'd saved a life tonight. While Tommy soaked in the warm bath, I tried my landline to call the sheriff's office. The storm had knocked out the phone lines, and my cell phone still showed no signal. We were on our own until morning, but at least Tommy was safe and warm. 20 minutes later, Tommy emerged from the bathroom looking much better. The color had returned to his cheeks, and though he was swimming in my old t-shirt, he seemed more alert. I'd set up a cozy spot on the couch with blankets and pillows, and Max had claimed the spot right beside it. "Feel better?" I asked, handing him a mug of hot chocolate with extra marshmallows. "Yes, sir, thank you." His manners were impeccable despite his ordeal. Someone had raised this boy right. "Tommy, can you tell me more about where you were camping? Do you remember the name of the campground?" I settled into the chair across from him, keeping my voice gentle and patient. "Pine Ridge, I think. Mum said we were going to Pine Ridge for the weekend." He took a sip of hot chocolate and smiled slightly, the first real smile I'd seen from him. "She's probably really worried about me." Pine Ridge Campground was about 3 miles northeast of my property. In daylight, it would be an easy drive, but with the storm and downed phone lines, we'd have to wait until morning to make contact. "I'm sure she is worried, but you're safe now. We'll get you back to her first thing in the morning, I promise." I paused, watching him cuddle deeper into the blankets. "Tommy, you were very brave out there. Not many kids your age would have stayed calm like you did." I wasn't calm. I was really scared. He looked down at Max, who had rested his head on the edge of the couch. But then I heard the doggy barking, and I thought maybe someone would find me. Max's tail thumped against the floor, as if he understood every word. Despite his exhaustion, Tommy seemed reluctant to sleep. Every time he started to doze off, he'd jerk awake, looking around frantically until he saw me still sitting nearby. The trauma of being lost and alone in the storm was clearly affecting him more than he let on. "Would you like me to tell you a story?" I offered. "Something to help you sleep?" He nodded eagerly, pulling the blankets up to his chin. Max had somehow managed to get most of his body onto the couch, serving as a warm, furry guardian for the little boy. I told him about the time Max and I had rescued a family of kittens from the old barn, and how one of them had grown up to think it was a dog. Tommy giggled at the parts about the cat trying to bark and fetch sticks. It was good to hear him laugh after everything he'd been through. "Mr. David," he said quietly when I finished the story. "Yes, buddy. Do you think my mom knows I'm okay?" The question hit me right in the heart. Here was this brave little boy, more worried about his mother's feelings than his own frightening experience. I think moms have a special sense about their children. Deep down, she probably knows you're safe, even if she's worried. I hope so. I don't want her to cry. I adjusted his blankets and dimmed the lights. Try to get some sleep, Tommy. Tomorrow we'll get you home, and your mom will be so happy to see you that she'll probably cry anyway. But happy tears. Finally, around 2 in the morning, exhaustion won out, and Tommy fell into a deep sleep. Max never moved from his protective position beside the couch. I woke up at dawn to the sound of birds chirping and sunlight streaming through the windows. The storm had passed, leaving behind a crisp, clean morning. Tommy was still sleeping peacefully on the couch, with Max maintaining his vigil beside him. I quietly made coffee and checked the phone lines. Still dead. My cell phone showed 1 bar of signal, enough to try calling the sheriff's office. After several attempts, I managed to get through to Deputy Martinez, who I'd known for years. "David, we've been looking for a missing child all night. 6-year-old boy named Tommy Chen disappeared from Pine Ridge Campground around 6 yesterday evening." "I've got him, Martinez. He's safe and sound, sleeping on my couch. My dog found him in the woods during the storm last night." The relief in the deputy's voice was palpable. Thank God. His mother has been beside herself. Half the county's been out searching for him. "How is he?" "Cold and scared when I found him, but he's okay. A few scrapes and bruises, but nothing serious. I'll bring him to the campground as soon as he wakes up. I'll radio ahead and let his mother know. David, you and Max are heroes today." After hanging up, I started making breakfast. The smell of bacon and eggs seemed to wake Tommy, who sat up slowly, looking confused for a moment before remembering where he was. "Good morning, buddy. How did you sleep?" "Good. Is my mom coming?" "Even better. We're going to take you to her. She's been looking for you all night." The drive to Pine Ridge Campground took about 15 minutes on the winding country roads. Tommy sat in the passenger seat, still wearing my oversized t-shirt, clutching a piece of toast I'd made him for breakfast. Max rode in the back, his head sticking out the window, enjoying the fresh morning air. "Are you nervous about seeing your mom?" I asked, as we turned into the campground entrance. "A little. Do you think she's mad at me?" "Oh, buddy, she's not going to be mad. She's going to be so happy to see you that she might squeeze you until you can't breathe." As we drove through the campground, I could see the aftermath of the search effort. There were several sheriff's vehicles, park rangers, and what looked like volunteer search teams packing up their equipment. Word had clearly spread that Tommy had been found. We pulled up to campsite 47, where a small woman with dark hair was standing next to a deputy. The moment she saw our truck, she started running toward us. Tommy saw her too and began bouncing in his seat. "Mom! Mom!" He was out of the truck before I'd even put it in park, running straight into his mother's arms. The reunion was everything I'd hoped it would be. Sarah Chen dropped to her knees and wrapped her son in the tightest hug I'd ever seen, tears streaming down her face. She was saying something in what sounded like Korean, mixed with English words of relief and love. "I'm sorry, Mom. I got lost. I was scared," Tommy said, his own tears starting again. "It's okay, baby. You're safe now." "That's all that matters." I stood back, giving them their moment, with Max sitting quietly beside me. After several minutes of tears and hugs, Sarah Chen approached me with Tommy still clinging to her hand. She was a petite woman, probably in her early 30s, with kind eyes that were still red from crying. "You must be David. I can't even begin to thank you for what you've done." Her voice was thick with emotion. "When they told me you found him in the woods during that terrible storm—" "Actually, it was Max here who found him," I said, patting my dog's head. "He knew something was wrong hours before I figured it out. If anyone deserves the credit, it's him." Tommy immediately let go of his mother's hand and ran over to Max, wrapping his small arms around the dog's neck. "Thank you, Max. You saved me." Max's tail wagged furiously as he gently licked Tommy's face, making the boy giggle. It was clear they'd formed a special bond during their brief time together. "How can I ever repay you?" Sarah asked. "You brought my baby home safe. No repayment necessary. I'm just glad we found him when we did. Another few hours in that cold rain." I didn't finish the sentence, but we both understood the implications. Deputy Martinez joined our group, shaking my hand warmly. "David, I've already filed the report. You and Max are going to be local heroes when this story gets out. We don't need any recognition. We just did what anyone would do." "Not everyone would have trusted their dog's instincts and gone into those woods during a storm," Sarah said. "You risked your own safety to save my son." Before they left the campground, Sarah asked if she and Tommy could visit the farm sometime. "Tommy hasn't stopped talking about Max, and honestly, I'd love to see where my son spent the night. The place that kept him safe." "You're welcome anytime," I replied, meaning every word. Max would love to see Tommy again, and I'd enjoy the company. 2 weeks later, they made good on that promise. Sarah and Tommy drove out on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, bringing homemade Korean food and a new toy for Max. Tommy ran straight to the dog, and they picked up their friendship exactly where they'd left off. "This is where Max found me," Tommy announced proudly, pointing toward the woods. "He's the best dog in the whole world." Sarah and I sat on the porch, watching Tommy and Max play in the yard. "You know, Tommy's been different since that night," she said. "More confident somehow, like he knows he can handle difficult situations. He's a brave kid. He stayed calm when a lot of adults would have panicked. He keeps asking when we can get a dog like Max." I laughed. "Max is one of a kind, but there are a lot of good dogs out there looking for homes." As the afternoon wore on, I realized how much I'd enjoyed having visitors. The farm had felt lonely sometimes, with just Max and me. Having Tommy's laughter fill the air and Sarah's easy conversation made the place feel more alive. When they left that evening, Tommy hugged Max goodbye and whispered something in his ear that made the dog's tail wag even harder. That was 6 months ago, and Sarah and Tommy have become regular visitors to the farm. What started as a rescue has blossomed into a genuine friendship that has enriched all our lives. Tommy has overcome his fear of the woods and now loves exploring the trails with Max and me, though we never venture out without proper preparation and communication. Sarah has been teaching me to cook Korean dishes, and I've been showing Tommy how to care for the chickens and tend a small garden. Max has appointed himself as Tommy's personal protector and teacher, showing him which plants to avoid and how to read the signs of the forest. The story of that stormy night has become something of a local legend. People still stop by occasionally to meet the dog who saved the lost boy, though Max takes all the attention in stride. He seems to understand that he did something special that night, something that changed all our lives for the better. Looking back, I realized that Max didn't just save Tommy that night, he saved me too, in a way. He reminded me that sometimes the most important thing we can do is listen, trust our instincts, and be willing to venture into the unknown to help someone in need. Every evening when I do my chores, Max still patrols the edge of the woods, but now it's just his normal routine. He's never shown that same urgent behavior again, as if he knows his most important mission has already been accomplished. Sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places, even from following a barking dog into a storm. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. It's amazing how one stormy night can change everything, isn't it? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Please let me know what part of the world you're listening from, and if you have any similar stories about the incredible instincts of our four-legged friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more true stories like this one. Until next time, trust your instincts and never underestimate the wisdom of a good dog.